Hey guys, welcome to my newest review here on EdR Gaming, where we're going to be talking about Super Mario RPG, which is the first Mario game I've ever played on my channel, and I've never played this game before. I never played it on the SNES, so I was really excited to play this when it came out and I heard about it. I'm a huge Final Fantasy fan, as many of you will have seen. All the games on my channel. I'm trying to go through one all the way to 16, maybe not 11 and 14, but anyway, we'll talk about that a different day, shall we? So I was really excited to see what the team behind Final Fantasy Square Enix, I think it's Square Enix, we did with the Mario, which obviously is a very different style of game. But I've got to say, I'm not disappointed in terms of the game at all. Right, sorry, someone was at the door. But yeah, the game didn't disappoint in terms of nostalgia. I think that's the main thing. The game is quite short, but obviously it's an older game, and I think you have to expect that sometimes. So yeah, from a nostalgia point of view, I think it's very good. And I think that's kind of what they were probably aiming more at. People who played the original, who were then going to play this, and then maybe who would then drive the sales enough for new people to play it. I don't know if they're going to plan on like remaking them all, but anyway. Obviously, not remake, remaster. The game is a remaster of the original plus a little bit at the end. It's not a remake like Final Fantasy VII, but that's cool. It's because of the difference between the two. It feels more like a remake than a remaster, to be honest with you. But anyway, time for my usual sort of two-part review, where we're going to talk about the two sections, and we're going to start with the story. And I can't believe I'm going to have to say this, but spoilers! As though you didn't know if I'm going to talk about the story, but some people don't. Obviously, the game is set in the Mushroom Kingdom, the main part of Mario world building, I guess. And it starts very much like a normal Mario game. Bowser's kidnapped Peach. Mario goes to save Peach. And just as he's about to save her, this big sword falls into the castle. Bang! Because obviously, yes, why not? I did always find that really random. Yeah, and it sends Bowser, Mario, and Peach off in different directions. They go flying. Mario makes his way back to Toad, and he's sent off to go find Peach again. They're like, oh, please save Peach. So he's like, oh, go on then, fine. So he then finds Mallow, who's a cloud who thinks he's a frog. It's very strange, and I really do recommend you go watch it because it's really weird. But he thinks he's a frog. Anyway, and Mario obviously helps him. And then you're on your journey helping Mallow, who then decides to help Mario in return, and a doll comes to life, obviously. But that's where you find out about the real kind of thing that's happening, that where wishes are granted, the star power, I think it's called, is failed, and the stars have come crashing to the world, and you have to save them. I think you've got a couple by this point, and you have to obviously do that and stop the bad guy. So you're like, okay, fine, carrying on to save Peach then. And Bowser joins the party, which, honest to God, is like Bowser is my favourite character in this game. I know everybody likes Geno because of Geno's sort of power, and he's quite cool, but Bowser is hilarious in this game. He's not just like normally, obviously Bowser being the evil guy. They make him comedic in a way, but not like slapstick. He has this inability in his ego to admit he's helping Mario, and he words it like, "Oh, Mario could join my minions." You're like, no, that is not what he's doing. But I found it hilarious. I think Bowser's the best character in it, and he throughout the thing there's a few times where it comes up, like is he helping Mario? And he's like, no, Mario's helping me. But yeah, I know. I thought it was hilarious. But obviously, blah blah blah. You then and then Peach. You do save Peach. Peach goes back and then escapes from. Well, she runs away from the castle to come help you instead of staying behind. So then you have your party and you go and get all the stars. And it turns out there's this weird weapon maker who's made the big steel sword, and you go and stop him. That's kind of it. And then you obviously have saved the day. The stars go back. It's not a particularly detailed story and fully built out, but it is an older game and it is aimed at a younger demographic mainly. Most Mario games are, which is fine. But you know, I think the story is fine, to be honest. It's just you just kind of have to accept it. You just go along with the ride, and I think they've done quite well with making the characters out. I mean, Mario actually is probably the worst character because he just doesn't talk, so he has no real character building. But you know, anyway, gameplay. Gameplay, I feel like it needs to be split into two sections: the Final Fantasy section and the Mario section. You know, I think it's important that we sort of talk about the two different little bits. So the Final Fantasy part is very traditional attack, their equivalent of magic, but effectively magic items, and then something like defend, escape. You know, like an other option. The layout obviously is not necessarily the same as Final Fantasy. They've moved where the buttons are, and you know they made them look a little bit brighter and things. But at the end of the day, it's still it's an active time battle. It's just what it is, and turn based. Um, so that is just what it is, and it's fair enough. I think, you know, it's cool. But then they've added in this more Mario element, which is a time based thing. Yeah, it's quite hard to explain. But basically, if you push the A button, the action button, at the right moment, you can give your attack a boost. And not only a little bit of a boost, makes it like a critical hit. It also area attacks often, so you hit other enemies. And the same thing is if you getting hit and you defend. If you push the button at the right time, it can reduce or eliminate damage that you take. Not all moves, but quite a lot of them. Now, if you're quite good with the timing, and I wasn't, especially on the defending, on the powered up post game bosses, I was awful. But if you get it down to a T, it makes the game quite trivial, I would say. You know, you do. Towards the end, I nailed Mario's timing and Bowser's timing on attack, and so almost all their attacks were the boosted ones, and you did so much damage. It was only really in the post game that it became a problem. The final boss, a little bit, but not really. So yeah, it did make it a little trivial. Obviously, you don't really grind like you do in Final Fantasy games or even Pokemon games. Your level cap is 30, so that is. I never got why 30. Why not just lower the amount of experience but make it 99? But they didn't. It's 33. It's 30, and I got to 30. Well, I probably would have been on level 28, 29 if I'd gone all the way through the game straight through. I did grind that last little level to get to 30 before I fought the final boss. It wasn't very difficult to do it. It was easy. What I did like, even though the level cap's not very high, obviously the enemies are not significantly higher. I did like the gradient of enemy like strength through the game. I thought it was very well balanced, if I'm honest. And not always they are. You sometimes get towards the end of the game and you kick everything's ass, or you have to grind in Final Fantasy and Pokemon games because everything's kicking your ass. So I quite liked how they did it, but like I said, with the action button thing, you made it even easier for yourself if you were quite good. But yeah, it was okay. Even though I got frustrated at times. Yeah, I quite liked it. You know, obviously the non-grinding bit I think is because it is aimed at younger kids who might not grind as such, because it's not random encounters. You see the enemies and you bump into them and fight them. So I think maybe they did that so that you didn't have to stay and have a little boredom thing, which like I say is fine. It was quite cool. Uh, Let me have a. Well, I mean, you know, everything was obviously fairly simple except for the super bosses and the post game. So, Collex, the original Collex, they had the 2D battle, the 2D game, 2D sprite from the original in this, exactly as he was in the other one. That battle, uh, I felt that battle was harder than the 3D one. So after you finish the final boss, you then fight, I think, 5 or 6 of the original bosses again in powered up mode. Very frustrating. A couple of them, some of them not too bad. It all depends on exactly what the mechanic was. And then you fight Collex 3D. So when you beat him in 2D, he goes off and becomes 3D. So he matches your world. Now, the two fights obviously are meant to be the hardest sort of battles you can. Collex 2D, you can probably fight sort of level 20 upwards. I reckon you could probably do it. Collex 3D, you pretty much have to have the best equipment and be top level to do it, I would say. But Collex 3D, I always felt that when I was doing it, I did them both first time, and I didn't do all the other post game bosses first time. I felt that there was the move pool rotated round, so there was a pattern. Collex 2D, I never felt there was a pattern. It was a lot. There was not as I didn't have to do as much damage, so I got through the battle quicker. So it appeared easier, but I was always on edge, not quite knowing if what was happening next. I didn't really know how the battle went. Whereas Collex 3D, there was a lot more moves you threw at you, a lot more rounds. But I always just felt like it gave you that chance. To start with in the battle, I was really struggling and I was panicking a lot about whether I was going to get everyone wiped out, and I didn't know how I was going to do it. But then it just sort of felt that, we'd do these 2 attacks, then I'd get a chance to recover just, and then he'd do another attack, then I'd recover, and then maybe I'd get a quick attack in. And once you got the crystals out of the way, he was easy. He really was quite easy to beat then. You just had to keep pounding him and healing. As long as Peach is still there, you're alright. So, I was more disappointed in 3D than I was in 2D, should we say. But I have to keep going back to the fact that it's a Mario game. It's not necessarily meant to be super hard. So when it says it adds a challenge, it's not quite like, I don't think Sonic Frontiers, oh my god, and Sonic Superstars, ridiculous. But anyway, overall, I enjoyed it. I did enjoy the game a lot. I had a lot of fun, especially with Bowser. I can't say enough, guys. Bowser's fantastic fun in this game. So I did enjoy that. And it is, it's just a Mario game, really. I think, it's an RPG, obviously, but I think you don't come at it from a Final Fantasy side, come at it from a Mario side, I think is the better way to do it. And I would say, if you like Mario, play it. If you like Final Fantasy and you want something a bit quicker, play it. I recommend playing it. Maybe wait till the price comes down if you can get a deal like Black Friday or January sales. Just because it's quite expensive to buy it when it first came out. I know all games are and they come down in price, but for a game that size and only a little bit of extra stuff added, I felt it's probably not worth the money. So wait till it's a bit cheaper, then play it, and then just enjoy it. I think that's what you got to go in and look at it as it's good fun. If you play Mario, you play Sonic, I think you'll like this game. If you play Final Fantasy and you like it hardcore, no. But if you like Final Fantasy and you like the story and just sort of playing through it, then play this. I don't know if you guys have played it. If you haven't, do it. But if you have, do let me know in the comments below what you thought about it. Please subscribe to the channel and come back for more of my reviews here on Oddball Gaming. Cheers, guys.